I wasn't giving out. I was looking at it because last year, if you remember, in both leagues, the number 2 and 3 placement in the MVP was the same team. It was Betts Friedman with the Dodgers, and it was Seager Simeon with the Rangers. They finished 2 and 3. And just off the early season, I was like, is it possible that Soto and Anthony Volpe are kind of like starting to move towards that? It's amazing. I'm not mentioning Aaron Judge, who has had 3 seasons where he's played more than 112 games. In those 3 seasons, he's finished 1st, 2nd, and 4th in the MVP. But the thing that stands out to me here is really Volpe. Because if I were going to say who's the 2-week American League MVP, I would say Bobby Witt of the Royals. You know who Volpe reminds me of a little? Bobby Witt.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So here's the comparison I would make. First of all,
I've never thought that.
They were on an 18 and under team, one of the best 18 and under teams of all time. Volpe was the number 3 hitter on that team, by the way. It had Pete Crow Armstrong, Riley Green, C.J. Abrams, Corbin Carroll. That team was so good, Gunnar Henderson didn't make it, right? They went to Panama, and they won the tournament. They never lost a game. They were in the same draft together. Witt was 2. He was 30, Volpe. Volpe was 30 because everyone thought he was committed to Vanderbilt and wasn't going to sign a contract. He would. He grew up loving the Yankees. But more important, Witt had a first season with the Royals that reminded me, in 2022, a little bit of the 2023 Volpe. There was a lot to like. Homers, stolen bases, but there were it was rough. Like Volpe had a lot of strikeouts, low batting average. And then Witt in year 2, last year, blew up and became the tentpole for the Royals. They signed him to that big contract, $288 million. Volpe looks like he has kind of sharpened his game. He's now walking as much as he struck out. And I'll say this, they moved him into the leadoff spot 5 games ago. He's walked 5 times. He's struck out once. He's hitting about 350 with a 500 on-base percentage in front of Soto and Judge. The one thing you don't want to do is walk anyone, and his at-bats are still so good that he's drawing walks in front of them. I wonder if he's now the number 1 hitter for a long time in that lineup in front of those 2 guys. I wonder if we're seeing a Witt-like blossoming with Volpe.
Oh, wow.
Dan, I'm going to start with you. The Yankees, believe or make believe, they're the best team in the American League East?
Make believe for me. I still feel the Orioles are the best team in the American League East. Certainly the most talented team in the American League East.
Yeah. Mike Lowell?
I'm with Dan O'Dowd. That doesn't mean the Yankees aren't a playoff team, but yes.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I like the Orioles as well.
And it doesn't mean that if the Yankees don't win the division, they can't win the whole thing.
Correct.
Because we have seen that before.
Absolutely.
Their arch rival, the Houston Astros, are off to a very, very slow start. Believe or make believe, the Astros' slow start is nothing to be concerned about. I've got thoughts. Mike, you go first.
Okay, so that's a lot of negatives. So nothing to be concerned about is make believe, because I think you should be concerned about it.
Yes.
Yes, I think they've shown a little bit of a chink in the armor. I'm not sure I love Hader, but I'm not sure all that money went to where the team really needed it. And, you know, there's other teams in that division that kind of,
no doubt,
they're sharks.
No doubt.
They can smell it.
I really should ask you this question because, like you're everything about Astros. So where are you on that?
I'm very concerned, but as Mike said, there's plenty of time. But the difficult thing is, Dan, and you know this better than anyone, their troubles, aren't they hard to solve in the middle of a season?
They
Pitching,
are, you know.
Bullpen.
Bullpen, I think you got to be very aggressive in waiver claims. I mean, relievers pop up anywhere.
Yeah.
But their deployment of money, they got dead money right now at first base. If the closer doesn't turn around, they have dead money in back end of their bullpen.
Right.
They got some free agents that are coming up. I mean, they are in a precarious position.
They're at a crossroads.
As relates, but they started out 8-10 a year ago. They're 6-12 now. The division hasn't gone crazy. I don't think you panic, but you really have to be concerned at this point in time because you wonder if the band stay together too long.
All right, let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. Believe or make believe, the Phillies have the best rotation in the National League. Aaron Nola looked great last night.
I think they do. You know, I think I could have made a compelling argument for the Braves, but once they lost Strider,
yeah,
I can't really make a compelling argument for anybody else in the National League. I think the Phillies do have the best rotation.
Mike,
you know, I think the Dodgers had all the hype, but yes, I'm with Dan here. I look at it, and when you're number 3, when your Ranger Suarez pitches like that,
yeah.
Playoff proven, yes.
I actually would say the number 2 and 3 for me, guys, would be the D-backs and the Reds right now.
Oh,
wow.
With Montgomery going in the rotation,
yeah.
The Reds, you know, Abbott coming back and looking dominant in his start. I think the Reds have a really intriguing young rotation.
I believe there's a chance Jordan Montgomery makes his Diamondback debut at the end of the week this week, so we're going to see him very soon. Believe or make believe, the Padres will reach the postseason. Mike?
I believe on that one. Yes. For some weird reason, you take out Juan Soto and Hader and you're better. I just think collectively they felt like they could just show up at the ballpark and their star power is going to be better than everyone last year.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work that way. You know, so I think that mindset has changed and there's just way too much talent in that roster.
Yeah, I agree completely with Mike. I actually picked them to get into postseason. Two things stand out for me. Their one-run losses last year are always an aberration. It never is year to year. Their extra inning losses from a year ago were bizarre. They've turned, so far, they look like they turned both sides around. And I agree with Mike, there's a different culture this year. The energy level's different. I think the parts fit together better. Not a perfect team in any way, shape, or form, but I think it's a really good team. And I think Tatis has a chance to challenge for an MVP.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the parts, it just didn't work last year. But Fangraphs gives the Padres a 48% chance of making the postseason. And finally, D-Row is off today. Lauren is off to Atlanta for her TBS duties. Believe or make believe, MLB Central is sustainable without D-Row and Lauren. That is definitely believe. I can handle it. I can handle it. What do you guys think?
I think Mike and I can handle it. I think there's the question mark. We have to let our viewers decide if you can handle it.
Oh, we don't want to ask them. We don't.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a lot better to look at Lauren and D-Row than me.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's probably accurate.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Although the pocket square's nice, Mike. I mean, you can't.
You pull it off. I got to go buy some.
Like mine.
I like your pocket square too. It's very like Mad Men-esque. All right, let's step aside here on this edition of MLB Central. 5
of the top 10 ERA leaders have spent time as relievers as well as starters. As we say good morning to you, that is shocking. Good morning again to you. Is this out of necessity? Because it's working. That's for darn sure, Joel.
Yeah, it's a subject we visited last week when I was here, and I noticed that again. And I just wanted to highlight a few things. So Blanco, only 34 starts in the minor leagues, 202 appearances. He was a minor league reliever pretty much, emergency starter. He has a no-hitter this year. He has the only complete game in the major leagues. Think about this. He's 3-0 with an 0.86 ERA.
Okay.
The Astros are 3-12 in the games he hasn't started. Like, you think they're afloat. Where would they be without him? You know, Crochet hadn't started a game in the major leagues. He's the ace of the White Sox right now, kind of is he junior Chris Sale, the way he throws. You know, Hicks we saw on that, Littell, who came up afterwards. I want to highlight the Red Sox because, so Cutter Crawford threw 5 2/3 shutout innings yesterday. Crawford's a guy who they've wondered, does he have the endurance to go around the lineup a third time? So there's questions, is he a starter or reliever? That's been the question with Garrett Whitlock. It was the question with Tanner Hoke. But, you know, you mentioned, you know, desperation, the mother of necessity, or however that horrible saying goes. Anyway, 10... Those 3 guys have made 10 combined starts. No Lucas Giolito, right? You got to. Who's going to do it? I don't know what the Red Sox season is this year. They have an 0.82 ERA combined. Those 3 guys in 10 starts. It's like, how long will it last?
That's my question. Is it sustainable? Because that's a small sample size over 160.
So I want to share something. You know, Adam Ottavino is one of the most thoughtful players I talk to on any regular basis. And I asked him about this trend over the weekend. You know, Seth Lugo was in over the weekend. I talked to Seth. Seth said he thinks there's guys in every bullpen who have ambition to do this and the ability to do this, but they're in the major leagues. They don't want to. He couldn't do it with the Mets. He's done it with the Royals, got $45 million over 3 years. Adam Ottavino said something fascinating. He said, we live in an age now where you could learn like a new pitch in a month, you know, with the Rapsodo and everything like that. So he said, this bullpen right now, aside from Edwin Diaz, who has a dominant fastball and a dominant slider, he said, everyone in our bullpen throws 3 to 5 pitches. We used to not throw 3 to 5 pitches,
to be 2.
But you could learn one. And so the question is, if you could learn one and you're a reliever and you have some starting in your background, some desire to do it, some durability mentally and physically, should teams be looking to pluck it out? As you see the success of Zach Littell, Michael King, Ronaldo Lopez, Seth Lugo, Ronald Blanco. I just wonder if we're seeing the beginning of a trend because players can develop that. You know, you're usually in the bullpen because you only have 2 pitches. Well, what if you could more easily develop a third and fourth pitch now? It made me think more about the subject.
It's interesting because I asked the guys yesterday on the couch, I said, what's the difference between what a reliever can do and a starter? And they said one pitch.
Yeah.
So to your point, it could change so quickly. The narrative around relievers is that it's a fickle position, right? Year to year. Is that always the case? And what have you seen so far this year?
So, Lauren, we've concentrated so much on the starting pitching injury epidemic. Well, I'm here to tell you, you go look at what's going on with relief pitchers. We're on the subject of that, and it's not great either. So if you look at the top 4 guys in FanGraphs relief war last year, these are the 4. Number 2 and 4 haven't pitched this year. Batista won't pitch at all. Matt Brash is kind of beginning to rehab towards it. We talked about David Bednar on a show last week. He got booed in Pittsburgh. Tanner Scott, who seemed to have his walk situation under control last year, is back walking too many guys. And here's a list of top relievers who haven't pitched this year. Duran, Romano, Sewald, Devin Williams. Those are 4 of the best relievers. They've all hurt, all on the injured list. Only Romano, who probably will come off Jordan Romano from Toronto will come off the injured list. I want to highlight one other. We thought the Astros were creating a super bullpen when they signed Josh Hader, right, for the 5-year, $95 million. You team him with Ryan Presley. You team him with Brian Abreu. Would you like to know what those 3 guys are this year? They're 1-4 with an 8.44 ERA and 3.18 batting average against. Hader blew up again last night, again in a non-save situation. They haven't pitched well. It is a volatile job, both in performance and health, and we're certainly seeing it early this year with people we would have thought of as surer things bullpen-wise.
Oh, we haven't talked about the injuries to relievers. You're so excited. You're dropping your pen. Braves have injuries.
Well, I was talking about the bullpen, right? That's the pen, anyway.
That's right. Braves have injuries, and at the top of the list, it's Spencer Strider. Yet, we saw it against the Astros. We talk about, Joel, how you look around the infield and the outfield, they're all locked up for a long time. It's not just that. It's out of 162, they're trying their darndest to play that. Ozzie Albies missed time last year, but it's Matt Olson, it's Austin Riley. 162 is the benchmark. It's not like that with every team.
So last week, Luis Guillorme came in a blowout loss to the Mets. He came in to pitch. Do you know what that meant? The last guy who was on a major league roster to start a season had finally gotten into a game. He didn't even get into the game in his normal position because the Braves play 7 players pretty much every day. They finally gave Arcia a day off yesterday, and Guillorme played shortstop. But that was it. It's one of the reasons they won 104 games last year. Would you like to know why? There were 14 players in the major leagues who played 159 or more games. 3 were Braves. They had 8 players play 135 or more games. That was 2 more than any team. They're doing it again this year. In an age of load management, Lauren, they've got prime age star position players, and they play their star age position players. I've always thought when people talk about wins above replacement, when you used to say, he played 120 games and he's got a great wins above replacement. I'm like, yeah, but you played 162. Who played the position for the 42 games that the guy didn't? Why don't we subtract that number from that guy's WAR? We don't ever have to subtract with the Brave guys. They play the game.
Whenever I go to baseballreference.com, Joel, that's the number one thing I look at is games played. It matters to me. If I was a teammate, that would matter to me the most.
I think if we had the 30 managers here and we polled them and said, what's most important to you? They would say, who's available to me and consistent. Like consistently gets on the field and a consistent performer, and the Braves have that.
I want it.
Slow down less than 30 kilometers. This is a child protected area. Slow down less than 30 kilometers.